Hello everyone, my name is Abdulmajeed Alqhatani. I'm a PhD student from UNC Charlotte. Today I'll present my paper on sharing and privacy concerns of users of wearable fitness devices. Wearable fitness devices are one of the most adopted IoT devices, and it is the top-selling devices in the market. Reports estimate that more than 70% of the devices of the wearables that will be sold in 2020 are fitness trackers and smart watches, which also include or provide fitness tracking capability. These devices sense and collect a variety of data like heart rate, calories, step count, location, among others. Many of the wearable fitness services enable users to share their data with other individuals and with organizations. So users can share their data within the device built-in social circles or externally on social media and external online health and fitness platforms. However, sharing sensed activity data can expose users to several risks. For example, when a user shares data such as step count or distance routes can be used to pinpoint user home address or other sensitive locations such as military sites. There is also a concern that fitness tracker data can be used by third parties such as insurance companies, can be used for other purposes. To increase, for example, by the insurance companies to increase consumers' coverage rates, or by employers to base their promotion decisions based on an employee health status. So these are some examples, and there are different other scenarios where users' data can be at risk. Previous work on sharing and privacy of fitness data examines users' motivations. Users share their data in order to stay accountable and to get social support and to compete with others. And there has been extensive work on sharing activity data on social media and workplaces. Users wanted to access larger number of audiences by sharing their data on social media and to promote their physical activity within the workplace environment. Privacy concerns were also examined, and they found that users do not find data from activity trackers sensitive, but they are concerned about other data collected by these devices like location. And they are also concerned about unintended use and lack of control over their data. Other studies also examined the privacy policies of wearable fitness companies, and they found that some of the policies, some of the companies did not comply with the existing regulations regarding data practices. Users have also limited knowledge about those practices, according to another study. So far, previous studies examined sharing and privacy primarily on social media and in workplaces, focusing on users' goals and their perceptions. We wanted to have a broader view of all forms of sharing. So we wanted to examine, in our study, we wanted to examine sharing as one important aspect of privacy. Therefore, our goals in this study were to understand how long-term users of fitness trackers share their data and what privacy decisions they make when they share data with different audiences and with different organizations. So we conducted a semi-structured interview with users of fitness trackers. In order to get insights about their actual sharing behaviors, we restricted participation to people who have 3 months, or at least 3 months of a device use, and who shared some information. We advertised our study in the relevant online forums, and we interviewed 30 participants, 15 males and 15 females. They came from different backgrounds and from different from different educational backgrounds, and their age ranged from 20 to 51. They also utilized a variety of fitness trackers, including wrist devices such as Fitbit, smart rings, chest strap, and among other devices. The interview questions were structured into 3 parts. The first part focused on the general usage of a device by the participants. In the second part, we asked them about their sharing practices. We asked them questions such as with whom they share their information and in what platforms and why. In the last part of the interview, we asked them about their privacy concerns. We asked them how they think their information can be misused and what they do to manage their information. We utilized inductive coding to analyze the interview transcripts. So moving into the results, the first part of the result is about general usage. So similar to previous studies findings, we found that users utilize participants utilize their trackers for several purposes, mainly to track their activity and to stay accountable. However, we found a considerable number of people in our study share their data with the caregivers for medical reasons. For example, we have one participant, she has sleep apnea and she used her device to track her sleep. Another participant has had back surgery and she used the device to track her standing and walking after the surgery. Most of the participants use their devices all times, others prefer during workouts. So prior to starting our study, we assumed that sharing platforms impact users' behaviors. However, we found that platforms had less to do with users' behaviors than their sharing goals and related audiences. So our study presents a set of sharing goals, audiences, and specific practices. From participants' responses, we identified 6 categories of the recipients of their data: friends, family, strangers, physicians, incentive programs, and coworkers. Some participants utilized multiple patterns based on their goals. So starting with the friends, the majority of participants shared their data with friends. So they share their data in order to stay accountable and to compete with their peers and to brag about achievements. They said they share basic data with their friends, such as step count. They are unwilling to share body weight and other data that might impact them because they are concerned about their friends' judgments of their lack of activities, especially those who may not have time to exercise. Participants who share their data with friends prefer to share their data on social media channels like Facebook and Twitter. However, a few raised concerns about sharing their data on those channels because those channels, they said they have different networks of connection and sometimes it may not be appropriate to share activity data with different networks of connections like professionals. The second category of the recipients are family. So participants mentioned that they share their data with family in order to help their family maintain healthy lifestyle and to also help themselves maintain healthy lifestyle. So they said they felt comfortable sharing everything with their family because they felt responsible toward their family and to share any experience, whether good or bad, with their family members. They utilize simple techniques to share their data, so just by talking or by showing a family member their data in the device. The third category of the recipients are strangers. So participants share their data with strangers in order to get advice regarding some health goals like losing weight. So they utilize the device built in social circles or online fitness and health communities. We asked them if they are okay to share their data with unknown people, and they said they are okay because they do not expect harm from people having same goals as themselves. Others were not concerned because they use fake information in their profiles, and all of the participants mentioned that they do not share location data because they are concerned about their safety. We were surprised by the number of people who share their data with caregivers. So we have about 6 or 7 participants share their data with caregivers. As I mentioned, they share their data in order to track some medical conditions or to track their vital signs. So they said they are okay and they are comfortable sharing openly with their doctors, and they make sure to record everything precisely because they think it's good for their health to manage their information with accurate information. However, some were frustrated with the current way they utilize to share their data because they compile data manually and share it with their doctors, and they wish to have some automated way to share their data with their physicians. Some of the participants also share their data with financial incentive programs. So they share their data in order to receive some incentives like discount on the purchases from a pharmacy or discount on the insurance. So they connect their data with those parties. Those parties will pull out their data from their fitness trackers, mainly step count. And to admit it that their main goal for sharing their activity data is to receive the incentive. We also asked them if they are comfortable, and they said they are okay because it's just step count, and the step count are harmless. Step count is harmless. Only one participant mentioned he is concerned about abusing his data by the insurance company in the future, but he considers himself healthy now and he's not concerned right now. The last category of the recipients of users' data are coworkers. So similar to previous studies findings, we found that some users share their data with coworkers. So sharing with coworkers is more of a friendly competition, and participants find it an opportunity to increase their physical activity. Some of the coworkers may not be personally known to the user, but they said again it's step count and it is harmless. In the last part of our study, we asked the participants about their privacy concerns. They said they are not concerned because they do not consider activity data sensitive, comparing to other data such as financial data. Rather, they are mostly concerned about self-presentation and social norms when sharing their data. So they said they make sure to post information that conform with the common sharing norms, and they do not share information that might impact their image in front of their peers. So they make sure to post something that can communicate positive image about their health and fitness life. Only few people had concerns about reusing by their data, mainly by insurers and by marketers. We also asked them what they do to manage their privacy, and most of them said that they do not take any action to manage their information because, again, they do not consider this data as sensitive. A few people mentioned that they utilize some strategies, some techniques like providing minimal information or providing fake information in their profiles. Some were not aware about their privacy settings, so we asked them to go over their profiles, and some of them discovered that their profiles were actually public. So in summary, our study suggests that users of fitness trackers do not consider activity data, especially step count, as sensitive. As a result, they do not take any action to protect their information. However, experimental research showed that highly private information can be derived from activity data that users generally consider less concerning or less sensitive. Rather, their disclosure decisions are impacted by the benefits, such as the incentives or sharing with doctors. As we've seen, they may share openly with their doctors for the sake of their health, and they may disclose more information to receive the incentives. They are also their disclosure decisions are also impacted by social norms and audiences, social norms of the audience and the broader platforms. So, based on our results, we recommend a set of design implications. First, to design controls and features around common goals and buttons. So users should be able to customize their profiles based on the audience and on their goals, and features should reflect common sharing norms. There should be also some methods to enable users to connect their self-tracking data with their caregivers. And finally, privacy nudges to nudge users about their sharing practices and to remind them to revisit their controls from time to time. Now I will leave you with this set of sharing buttons that we found, and if you have any question, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
If you have questions, please come to the microphone.
Hey, Dan Cosley, Cornell and NSF. So I don't know if this is going to be so much a question as a comment. It'd be interesting to know how people, the part of physicians in particular, maybe wonder how the recipients of this information thought about the sharing, because there's been this sort of work in the past about how doctors may not really be able to make sense of tracking data. And so it'd be really interesting to see sort of the flip side of this, where you look not just at the sharers, but the people who they're sharing to, and sort of what kind of responses and values they can give back to people.
Can you repeat the question?
It's not. I said it's not a question. It's a comment. That you're talking about the sharing, but exclusively from the sharer's point of view right now.
Okay.
It would be really interesting to understand in this sort of contextual integrity framework that you pose in the paper about sharing, how recipients' point of view around the sharing and how sort of the bigger interaction went. That might give you some real insight into the kinds of controls and nudges that might be useful.
That's interesting. Yes. One of my future plans is to study users and doctors' collaboration. So I aim to conduct a user study with also doctors to ask them about their perception. So this is one of my plans. So interesting.
Nalina Rachalage from La Trobe University in Australia.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. Right. Nalina Rachalage from La Trobe University in Australia. So thanks for the interesting talk. I was wondering about, you talked about people when they share the information, actually they really don't see the sensitiveness of that data sharing through all these the devices. Were you able to develop a kind of a threat model, understanding how the attackers could leverage their attacks through invading privacy of people? It's kind of identifying where the attackers could sneak into the systems through invading people's privacy, kind of things as an implication.
I did not think about this, but I think, yes, you're right. If we make some experiment with users and telling them that we will collect some personal data from them, they might reveal a different behavior. So, yeah, this is something interesting too.
I also had a question for you. So you talked a lot about how what people's preferences and considerations were in sharing data with other people, and it was kind of heartening to see that they actually reason about why they're sharing data and what data they might not want to share. Did you learn anything about how they feel about the fitness tracking companies having that data as well?
We did not examine the companies' users' perception about their companies. But yeah, some of them were concerned about marketers and about insurance companies, so they have some doubts that their information might go to third parties.
All right, great, thank you. Let's thank our speaker.
Thank you.